I've been waiting for somebody to actually have some guts to stand here in front of me and say that they wanted to fight me.
Oh my God! It's my dream to fight in the UFC.
By unanimous decision.
Upstairs because now he's got Costa's attention so much. Ooh.
Just a scratch.
Little check left hook right there, drops him.
The hunter is now the hunted.
The UFC celebrates 30 years this year, and New Zealand fighters have played a pivotal role in its history. James Te Huna was the first ever New Zealander signed to the promotion in 2010 for UFC 110. And despite being born in Canterbury and raised in Te Kaupata, Australia was where he realised his full combating potential.
Yes, I was born in Canterbury, but I grew up in a little town called Te Kaupata, which is near Huntley, Hamilton. So that's my hometown. But growing up there, I love watching TV, and I love watching the sport on the news. First, I wanted to be play for the All Blacks, but I was quite stinky at rugby, so I tried. But combat sports and boxing was my path that I wanted to take, and I thought, I was just passionate about it. Just had these great role models on TV that I used to see on after the 6 o'clock news on the sport side, and just took that path and just really had that drive to keep going.
Here is David Tua and his group coming to the ring. He will be in the blue against the local favorite.
Growing up in the 80s and 90s, watching David Tua get on stage and get to the Olympics and Barcelona Olympics, and then compete as a professional, do quite well in sport. And not only in the sport, but his character too. I just thought, man, what a great role model he is. So he was a massive influence in my life. Boxing is quite big in New Zealand, and Mike Tyson was on TV, and David Tua and Jimmy Thunder, and I was just like, I just thought that as like the ultimate challenge. And at the time I was having my struggles through primary school and high school, and I thought boxing was a great tool to be able to give me, be able to build some more courage and get through those struggles through those childhood difficulties. I knew it was going to be hard, and I also knew that I was talented. I was always the last person to learn something, so in the class of 10, 20 people, I'll be the last person to be able to learn it. But the difference was whatever you learnt, I would take it back home, and then I would practice it over and over and over again. I would do more reps than anyone else, and I knew that I had to work hard to get good. So that work ethic, I knew how important it was for me. The hardest obstacle is trying to be consistent with it and trying to turn up every day. I mean, you have your battles. Every day is a different day, like, just going to the gym or doing stuff in general. It's you're going to have your good days, you're going to have your bad days, but what's most important is you show up the next day, keep showing up, and that's what I did. Yeah, sometimes it was hard for me to get to the gym because of anxiety or being nervous or not having enough courage to get there. So then I would do things like train at home or train in the backyard or go for a run down the road, but I was always doing something. I moved over to Sydney when I was 17. And then once we got here, I carried on with boxing for a little bit, and then there was a kickboxing gym around the corner, and just one thing led to another, jiu-jitsu, and then there was no MMA gyms around. There was no one really training MMA. There was a bunch of UFC tapes that were being sold at the markets, and we watched them. We're like, how cool is this? So we kind of, just started being a fan of the sport. And then we heard of a coach that had connections up in a different state in Australia, in Queensland, where it was legal to compete in MMA. And we started training for those fights. that's how we got involved. It was a new sport, you know. As soon as I explained to people that I was training for a MMA bout or MMA fight, they would instantly think, okay, what's in the cages? It's cage fighting, and kind of it was known back then as you know, cage fighting, but you know, mixed martial arts started coming through, and more people got more educated about it. There's, you know, rules in place, and just more awareness around it. The sport started quickly growing, started getting more TV time, more media time, and yeah, eventually is pretty big now, pretty big.
Once the MMA ban was lifted in New South Wales, the UFC saw the perfect opportunity to strike the Australian market, and UFC 110 was it. The card featured absolute superstars like Cain Velasquez, Wanderlei Silva, Michael Bisping, and of course, James Te Huna.
The fighting, they say that fighting is the easiest part once you're in there, but trying to get there, that whole journey, that whole camp or training preparation is the hardest part. You know, like before when I, you know, talked about trying to show up the next day, being consistent. It's always hard. But I wanted to take it further when I was training with. There was a whole bunch of us by that time in Sydney that we were all training together, and I got connected with Mark Hunt when I was training. We were training with the same jiu-jitsu trainer, and I was training with Mark, and then Mark brought me over for one of his fights in Pride in Japan.
With us in this very interesting matchup. Mark Hunt is 5'11", 275 pounds, 1-1 in Pride Fighting Championships.
Didn't realize how big the sport was over there, but you know, it was like thousands of people over there. And Mark Hunt's a big, you know, superstar coming from K1. We had lots of conversations, and I was passionate about the sport, and he encouraged me to go a bit further and keep pushing, and you know, and so he gave me that push, and he made me believe that I could get up there. Just having that connection of, you know, being from the same country and same values and same passions, and you know, he had conversations with me and made me believe that I can get there too. And it was, whereas before I always had that big question mark, it was the unknown sort of thing, and thinking, okay, well, am I wasting my time taking this path? I'm not going to get there. And Mark's like, oh, you know, if you put in work, you can get there too. It just depends on how bad you want it, you know. And yeah, he just really kept on, you know, pushing us. And without that guidance too, I mean, you know, Mark actually got me a trial fight to compete in Pride, and I was excited about that. And then Pride, the UFC bought out Pride, I think. I'm not too sure, I can't remember. But that contract, that fight got scrapped, and then there was talks about UFC coming to Sydney in Australia, having the first one there. And I thought to myself, okay, well, it'll be good to get on that undercard, and if I get some wins up on my record, or at least, you know, whatever good chance to be able to get on there, being like a local boy of Sydney. So then, yeah, just started hard at competing and getting some wins, and you know, just create a bit of noise for a local boy. And then got approached by, actually my brother teed me up with another coach, and he organised, he wrote up a contract and made the connection to the UFC and got me in there. It was no surprise to me. Like I knew that I was going to get on there, and I put on the hard work, and I knew I was going to get there. And as soon as I got the contract and then signed it off, I was like, yep, okay, here we go. And then it was all, you know, serious from there. Like when I look back, I was in the UFC for like 6 years. When I look back during that 6 years, I can't remember much like what was happening outside of fighting, because I was just had tunnel vision of competing, And then when I wasn't competing, I was just training, I was just in that world, you know. So my focus was just all around that at the time. And it's quite hard too, because I guess being an individual sport, it's you in there, and you've got to make the right decisions. You know, it's not secure. You know what I mean? Like, to get that fight, training for that fight, you know, anything can happen. Having the fight, anything can happen. So you just bank on everything, trying to get there and to do well. So your security to do well in that sport is quite hard. It's very challenging. Yeah, massively huge. It makes you having that connection too, because I mean, you know, the sport, or MMA or boxing, combat sports it's a lonely sport. Can't do it by yourself. There is a lot of work you got to do by yourself, but you can't do it all by yourself. So it's really important to have that connection there. That being connected is up there. You got to be connected, and yeah, the stronger the connection, the stronger the person, the stronger the team, the stronger the society, the group, the culture is very, very important. Yep. And we can see that with multiple gyms around New Zealand too. The culture in each gym, the own culture, Māori culture getting stronger. So it's a very important thing.
James is a pioneer when it comes to New Zealand fighting, featuring on the very first Australian UFC card and headlining the inaugural New Zealand UFC Fight Night 43. And if you thought Israel Adesanya was the first one to come out dancing, James was a trailblazer there too.
The UFC's record-breaking trip to Australia brought about many firsts, including the debut of Sydney's own Jamie Te Huna.
Born in New Zealand, now fighting out of Australia.
Competing in the UFC, it's definitely opened up a lot of doors. It's got me more connected to the community, more connected to people, more connected to family, friends. It's just given me a vehicle to be able to build more relationships. So that's really important. It's been awesome, like just for the UFC to get to New Zealand, and for Māori people to be able to get to the sport and do quite well. New Zealanders in general they're very good athletes and very good at sport, and I think it's just awesome for the country. Always kind of knew that there's only going to be a matter of time before, you know, New Zealand's going to kick off like how it is now with in the sport of the UFC. But it was just like a really proud moment for me, being able to represent my country on the home stage, and the first one, New Zealand. I just thought it was going to be a matter of time before New Zealand's going to blow up like how it is now. So it's I'm quite happy to see where it is now. It's just how not just one or two fighters, just a lot of fighters, and the culture's really grown in the sport as well in New Zealand. It's just really good watching. So I'm connected to some gyms on my socials, and then watching those gyms and watching those coaches, how they're building such a positive environment, making a positive impact to a lot of people around the country is awesome. You know, always got to bring something to the table, and walkouts was kind of something that I like to do. You know, bring something to the table. Not too sure what other people would have thought of it, so I tossed the idea up to my mates, and then my team. They liked the idea, and we all put in for the what we're going to do, the performance, and then we're practicing tutorials off YouTube. I think I might have ran it past a staff member there at the UFC.
you change it up, Kenny Floyd, and James Te Huna and his cornermen with a little choreographed dance.
It was quite funny too, because when we got given the okay, we were all like, after the warm-up back in the sheds, we're dressing up in these suits and then getting our Ray-Bans ready, and we're walking out behind the curtain, and then all the other fighters that are coming back from performing, they're coming back with their team, and they're walking past us, and they're like doing a double take on us, and and we were like, you know, all dressed smooth and sharp and ready to do this thing. Then I started having those thoughts come on my head. Maybe is this a good idea, or this is happening behind the curtains. Then I start sweating bullets. I'm sweating hard out, and then the Ray-Bans are on, and the curtains get pulled back, and then there's the bright lights, and then because the stadium's dark and there's this bright light, and I've got the Ray-Bans on, I can't see anything, and I'm sweating, so my Ray-Bans are fogging up. And I'm like, oh no. So I just followed this bright light, which was the light from the camera that was in front of me, the camera person holding the camera. So I just followed that light, and it got me through to the cage. So yeah, couldn't see nothing else. What we didn't realize was when we were practicing how, what we talked about before about being connected, having the team, the strong connection for the team, how it brought everyone together, everyone more tighter, made that connection strong, and then went out to the fight, and then yeah, performed. Yeah, that was quite good. It was a really fun moment, an important moment for a lot of us involved. That was a pretty special moment for me. It was overwhelming too, you know. It's yeah, it just made me feel like a little kid growing up again. It was just I just had a really strong connection in that moment, and yeah, super proud, overwhelmed, and yeah, I just had like a roller coaster of emotion during that time. I just felt a lot of things, which was it was great for me. It was awesome. And it's really good to see the next generation evolve so well and learn a lot from what's worked for us and what hasn't. And it's just really good to see them making good decisions and making the sport more safer, more training more effective as well. And then bringing in culture and realizing how important the culture is for the sport, and you know, the teams and a lot more, you know, support around it, more fans, and it's just awesome to see, because yeah, I guess at the time when the old fellas, us dinosaurs that were competing, we weren't too sure what was happening, sort of thing. So we're just all like, you know, calling each other up and just suss each other out and see, you know, who was around, and get together and train and stuff, and see practice things that thought that, you know, might work in a fight, and then go out and have a fight and realize, okay, that didn't work, we'll do something else, eh? So it was just like trial and error, but it's really it's great to see how much is involved in, and how safe the sport has become, how effective the sport has become, and how much support behind it as well. It was hard, but when I look back, it was, I guess, not having that fire to be able to give me the drive to be able to, you know, get through those hurdles, those adversities, like what I once did before. So eventually the fire burns out and you turn into a dinosaur. But I learned a lot during that journey, built a lot of great relationships. So I'm quite grateful for the time that I had in there. I learned that sometimes when people tell you that you can't do things, like if you have some injuries and you're you're told that, you know, this might be impossible for you to do, and I was able to like push myself a little bit further and overcome these things quite successfully. I was able to, now that I look back, I had 6 years in the UFC, and that was probably my 6 years of my peak, and I had 12 surgeries within that 6 years, and then I was competing as well. So I was kind of lucky having all these injuries. 12 surgeries in 6 years, it's like 2 surgeries per year. But I was able to, after each surgery, I was able to come out from the hospital and then get back to training. Not full training, but I was doing something. So if I had a, you know, broken hand or something, I'll be walking or be doing something on the legs. I was always doing something. So I learned a lot about my body, how important exercise is. Not only in sport, but just life in general, you know, like if someone has like a triple fall or something, twists an ankle when you're out, one of the best things you can do is get some exercise happening, because you know, when your body's moving, you heal a lot faster than what you would if you'd done nothing. So yeah, even if it's something small like a walk or something's better than nothing. All the memories that I fought on the same card with Mark Hunt, that's been my highlight. And represent Māori on the stage as well, and representing my home country. It's been huge. But yeah, I grew up like watching Mark Hunt in the K1 and did quite well, and I was a massive fan of his, and then, you know, meeting him and realizing how humble he is and hasn't changed no matter, you know, with the spotlight that he's been through over the years. He's still the same person, still humble as he, yeah, just an awesome dude. So I've got a business that provides supports for foster teenagers that are caught in the system. So I provide supports like behavioural supports, connect them back to the community. Doing things like you know, exercise or sport, or to be able to help them through difficulties that we all had going through school, or, you know, outside of school. So yeah, I've got that business going, and then my other hat that I wear, I work as a contact coach. So I do consultancy work for rugby league NRL clubs. We're doing that for, well, a handful of years now. Gained a lot of experience. To be honest, haven't played league in my life. Never really watched it, but I got involved in it one year, and then through my wrestling experiences and be able to, you know, pull the trigger when the time counts, sort of thing, and all the adversities that I got through, you know, through my path of fighting, I was able to bring that across to some of the league players and be able to help them. So yeah, I started like 5 years ago and worked with different clubs around the, you know, around NRL, and yeah, currently with the Panthers right now, and yeah, just love watching athletes be able to overcome adversity and be able to you know, shine a bit more, get through, you know, help them achieve their goals.
It all began 30 years ago with an idea.
You are about to see something that you have never seen before.
Welcome to the Ultimate Fighting Championship world.
This is a crazy sport, ladies and gentlemen.
30 years later, it's still leading the future of sport. The Ultimate Fighting Championship. The fight has just begun.